Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy II. In the last part, Kenny and I started off the game, and now we're finally gonna head east towards Bofsk, actually, where words failing early. We're heading towards Bofsk. Which, as you can just see there on the map screen there, that is actually the warship that's actually being built by the Empire. So let's see what we can do here in the town. If you actually talk to people, they actually will never respond to you. Most of them at this point just go ellipses. But this guy's here. This is the Dark Knight. And no, he's not the one from Final Fantasy I. Thankfully. Now, the only reason I'm actually here in Bofsk is to buy a spell. In particular, I think it's the heal spell. Yeah. Heal is a bit odd in this game because it's not like other Final Fantasy games where it heals every status ailment. It only heals permanent status ailments because there's actually a difference between permanent and temporary. Higher levels cure more ailments, blind at level 1, and venom at level 1, dumbfounded, mute at level 2, level 3 curse, so on and so forth. And you really want to build this up because as it levels up, each level will hit its own thing. So it's a bit of a collective, and so if you want to be able to cure worse status ailments later on, you're going to need to constantly use it.
Like, even when it's not necessary, or only when it's necessary?
I like to keep it around just because. Plus, it gives Furion something to work on when he's not physically attacking or using Cure outside of battle. Now, in terms of the difference between a permanent and a temporary status element, temporary status elements don't last after the battle, and they can actually be healed at the end of a turn. Permanent status ailments last after a battle ends, and they also prevent you from gaining stat boosts and such. So, get rid of them as fast as you can.
There are things like that in Final Fantasy IX, but the only one that I know of that stunts like growth and stuff is Virus. Yeah.
It's more or less Virus.
I really like using Virus to grind experience at the end of the game.
I'm a bit iffy on Virus because I hate that possessive so much at 9. Either way, Joseph there was telling us, yeah, that's the guy we were supposed to find last part, that essentially we need to go over to the Semite mine in order to free his people. However, one thing I do want to do at this point is do some minor MP grinding using Min's anti-spell, which is essentially Rasp. So I can get Furion's MP to above 30 and Maria's above 50. That's a good point to be at around here. And we get our first new enemy for the part, Vampire Thorn. Rank 1 enemy, 20 HP, 3 to 12 gil. Their attacks can inflict venom. I think that's actually just the regular poison ailment, though. And they can drop antidote, eye drops, or a potion. Now, in terms of the poison's permanent version is in venom, and the only way you can generally tell the difference between a status ailment being permanent or temporary is when it's inflicted. The text box that says blank has been blanked. It'll say, like, guy has been envenomed instead of poisoned. But yeah, these guys, not very hard enemies, no real elemental weaknesses at all. So, just get them out of your way, they should go down pretty quickly. You alright there, Kenny?
Yes.
You're making sounds I can hear, but you're not saying much.
I'm actually not saying anything. I don't know what... You might be hearing background smash because I'm watching some replays also.
That would explain it. Now, what we just got from that battle there is an eye drop. That cures the blind status ailment. But here's the thing. At this point in the game, it's useless! Nothing can inflict blind until a bit farther in the future. So, that's kind of useless. Well, anyway, Kenny, your enemy turn.
Alright, next we have, oh my god, I skipped the notes, I think. That would be G-Goblin, Goblin Guard. Rank 1 enemy, 10 HP, 6 to 50 gil, so also good for gil experience, gil grinding, rather. They have an ability called Bow 1, which damages enemy regardless of row for around 12 to 20 damage.
So these guys can actually be pretty useful in terms of grinding HP, because they'll be able to hit anyone. Though, I think like normal goblins, they can also flee, because a lot of early game enemies have a flee ability just to run away immediately. Like, I think both Hornet types you can run in at this point have it, both of the goblins have it. So that's something you're going to want to keep in mind. And this is me I'm not sure, this is just me making sure that I'm safe with it. Like in Final Fantasy 1, like I mentioned last part, there's a bit of a glitch where if you have something equipped and your stat goes up, sometimes it won't update to reflect that until you re-equip your weapons or armors, depending on what the stat is. I forget what exactly it does. So this is just me being safe with that. That they clearly didn't completely fix the black belt glitch from last game. Either way, over here is the Semite Cave. And I gotta say, I love this game's dungeon theme.
It is nice, and especially in the NES version.
Yeah, and right there, that's a blue rock. Keep that in mind for later. Either way, next new enemy is a snowman. Wait, snowman? I should be looking at Yeti. Crud. Also, no, this is the Yeti. I think. It should be. I think I got the wrong enemy up. Rushing.
Probably rank 1 enemy. Maybe around
I
20
assume as
HP.
much. I know he's weak to fire, and I think he has some sort of elemental properties. Here he is. Sasquatch, rather. This is what his name is supposed to be, I believe. Rank 1 enemy, 20 HP. No, it doesn't actually have any weaknesses. No items, 6 to 50 gil. Nothing too bad. Sorry about that. That's the pain in the ass thing about retranslations, that the names won't update exactly. Either way, Kenny, go ahead.
Alright, we have balloons, which are early versions of bombs. Rank 1 enemy, 20 HP, 3 to 25 gil. They're weak to fire for some reason, and also weak to bolt. When HP is less than max, they can and or will explode to deal 20 to 40 non-elemental damage. So that is very not good.
Yeah, but if you can kill them in one shot, like with fire, or at this point, I want to say guys' weapons, it's nothing too bad. Especially when you one-shot them with 270 damage. Good lord. My fire spell is getting a bit ridiculous.
Why are they even weak to fire in the first place?
Well, well, they're not. I'm not exactly sure why, because they would become fire absorbing later on in the series. But then again, these aren't bombs; they're technically balloons, which is a different enemy in that same line.
That's true, I guess.
Now, there's one enemy in this cave I never ran into, I believe. Yeah, it's called the Green Slime. It's pretty much one of the early precursors to the Flan enemies from later games in the franchise. It's a rank 2 enemy, 10 HP, 3 to 25 gil. They're weak to fire and ice, so you can take them down pretty easily. They have near perfect physical defense, though, so the best way to go about it is to use fire attacks. And I think they can also poison you, so watch out for that if you run into them. Also, you might be noticing the timestamp's quite a bit shorter than it was last part. Yeah, like I mentioned, I think it was either that's actually maybe been off-screen to Kenny. But part 1 was really long because I wanted to get a good amount of the stuff done, so we can get started off and be right into the action from here on out. So from now on, part should hopefully be around 20 minutes or plus minus 3 minutes, I want to say. Hopefully. Finale might be a bit different with that. Yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be inserting the PSP version's credits this time because there actually is a credits roll in this one. But I'll decide that when the time comes. Now, you might remember how I mentioned the thing about the eye drop being completely useless in this area? Then why do they give us one? I don't think the enemies can blind you in the next dungeon, though. I don't recall. It's been a while, but And also a lot of potions. Potions are honestly, like I think I mentioned last part, pretty useless here in 2 because you want to be able to gain HP, and if you use an item that recovers your HP or recover your HP in general in battle, you won't be gaining HP unless you are below a certain threshold. So, kind of useless. Because you need to have started high and ended low. Anyway, what I just did there, that was a choice of doors, obviously. For some reason, a weird running theme here in this game is that most of the doors you have to take are the ones on the far left. So, in this dungeon especially, take that into precaution. And 1 gil, best reward ever. Now, the other doors in those kind of sequences, they generally lead to small rooms that don't have any exits aside from the main one that you entered from. The only really remarkable thing about them is that they have an incredibly high encounter rate, so only go in there for grinding, I'd suppose. But I'm not going to because I want to let the game have some amount of challenge. I just realized my TV is on. That could actually be hard static. Anyway, here are the people that are actually being enslaved from Salmondo. And Paul's here randomly enough. And this is Joseph's daughter. And Borgin, who we learned about last part, is the man who betrayed the rebellion. Is why they're here. Either way, talk to Paul, exit out of dialogue, and they disappear, allowing us to continue on farther into the cave. Thankfully, though, the cave is fairly easy. And here we get a fire book, so if you didn't buy a fire spell early on, you could technically get one here, but I'd like to have the experience for it by now. So just sell that.
So
well, actually, no.
Oh, go ahead.
I forget. I keep that around for a bit because I forget if I wanted to sell it. But if you want to sell it, pretty much just go right ahead. I don't think you'll be needing it anytime soon.
So it just stays as fire. It doesn't like go to fire raw or fire 1, fire 2, fire 3 or anything. It just stays as fire.
The spell levels are what influence that. There's no such thing as like a fire Faraga, but there is a fire 2, fire 3, which is essentially a higher level version of it. Technically speaking, the closest thing to a Faraga this game has is fire, I want to say 13 through 16. Either way.
What's the highest level?
16. Either way, before going in here, I recommend investigating that chest. Put the ice book that I told you guys to buy last part into Maria's item slot, and put everyone but Min in the back row because we get the exit spell here, but suddenly monsters! Monster in the boxes start here, and Kenny go right ahead with this enemy.
Okay, Sergeant?
Land Turtle. Oh wait, no, this is me, isn't it? Yes, it is. Land Turtle is a rank 3 enemy, so really powerful for this point. 140 HP, 25 to 200 gil. And it's only weak to ice, so you want to use the ice book as an item in order to cast a really high level ice spell on it, because otherwise this guy can easily kick your ass. And with good luck, it should always one-shot him. I've seen it do exactly 139 damage, but thankfully for me, it did 150. And for doing that, we got the exit spell as a book. Now, the exit spell, like it does in later games, when you use it as an item, or no, when you use it from your spell menu, you get warped out of the dungeon. However, this game introduces a catch to it that only this game has, but I'll go over what that is in a few moments when we actually use the spell. So from here on out, we're just straight walk to the boss, actually, because we're more or less done with this area. And that door there in the top left just leads to another one of those high encounter rate rooms.
When do you run into the Adamatoids? Just curious, because I think it appears.
I forget if they're into. If they are into, they're not until really late game, because there's only like 2-3 turtle enemies. No, actually, yeah, no, they're in this game. I forget where, though. Oh, there. It'll be a while. Either way, before going in there, I'm talking to this guy. Heal up your HP because you're going to want it for this boss fight. Put your rows back as they were before, everyone but Min in the back row. And technically speaking, for better magic hits, you might want to de-equip Maria's weapons, but I'm not going to. That Mithril's mine! Go ahead, Kenny.
Alright, we have the Sergeant, rank 3 enemy, 140 HP. So very powerful, just like the Land Turtle. 100 to 200 gil drop. Can use bow 3, which is just a bow, I guess. Attacks regardless of row. I'd say around damage. Kyle told me that it could be around 30 plus damage. Never seen him use it.
Yeah, I've never actually seen him use it. The way you want to go about this is to have Minwoo cast Blink on himself, because that'll increase his physical evade to the point where he's pretty hard for the Sergeant to touch, generally. And if he does get a hit, it's only generally one hit with low damage. And then have everyone but Maria physically attack and have Maria cast Fire. That should take him down in 2 to 3 rounds. Especially when your fire level, when your fire spell is like level 4, like mine is, I think, at this point. Oh no, it's 3 still. Not a hard boss, but it could potentially be annoying. Also, even though you guys didn't hear it, for most of the early game bosses in this game, by the way, I got a Mithril helm. I don't think I'm supposed to be able to get one of those until much later. That's a very rare drop. You may have heard it. No, you guys didn't hear it, rather. But during the boss fight, it still plays normal boss theme. That's because Final Fantasy II doesn't get a boss theme until way later down the road. So the theme you heard was the Final Fantasy Origins fight. Either way, here's what Exit does. It causes you to lose HP when you use it. Since Furion was near max, now he's at 5 HP. Exit is useful, but you really need to keep in mind the HP deduction that it gives you. The way to get around that is to get it higher leveled. The higher level it is, the less HP it drains from you.
That's really weird.
Yeah, they didn't bring it back for a reason. Either way, this guy's telling us that we're going to need an ice sled later on. That's somewhere in the sunlight cave near a blue rock. It is near where it should be found, I don't get why is found is there twice. Now, you actually don't need to come here, but I'm here to buy one thing in particular in the magic shop. One of my favorite spells in the game, especially used against undead enemies, Life. You could potentially buy anti here in order to grind MP later on, but I'm not going to get it. Now, life, the way it works is that the higher level it gets, the more HP it restores upon revival, but it needs to hit multiple times first. Because the higher level it is, the more hits it gets. And that is really useful against undead enemies, because that means it'll be damaging them more than the one time. So, when you're not, like, using heal or such in battle, try to use that a good amount. That should hopefully help you out with some undead enemies later on. And now we're back in Altea, actually. Because now that we got that Mithril, we can take it to Tobal, who, if you were paying attention to the dialogue the last part, needs Mithril in order to make some really good equipment. We want to give that to him. And he'll start making Mithril equipment right away, and he means right away, because the moment we exit this dialogue box, the shops now have Mithril equipment you can buy. Now, the reason I actually went with a spear and a cane instead of like 2 canes or 2 spears for Maria and Firion is because very soon we'll be finding both a Mithril spear and a Mithril cane, though you will want to buy a Mithril sword at some point for Guy.
See, that's one thing I don't really like about some of the let's see, what game does it a lot? Final Fantasy IV, I think, where like you buy an item, you buy a weapon and it's ridiculously expensive. And then you find it in a chest in the castle or something like that. Like, it's some kind of... I think it's like the Ogre Nyx or something. I don't know.
That sounds about right. Now, one thing you also want to do while you're here is buy 3 Mithril shields, or 2 if you only have enough money for 2. And then blast down one of the bronze shields we got last part to Minwu. Because, well, shields are the one thing you always want to upgrade because they're almost always better. And now we're actually back in the HQ because now we can do some extra talking. To Hilda, at least. A mysterious Dark Knight has recently joined the Empire. He was called back to Paramikia on assignment. He was in charge of the warship's construction, so hopefully now we have an opportunity to go in and destroy it. And a group in Bofsk is actually trying to find a way to sabotage the warship, so we should probably head back to Bofsk, which I'm actually going to do in a jump cut right about now, Smurble. I don't know what kind of sound I just made. By the way, now that the Dark Knight's actually gone, people are actually talking to us now. Apparently there's a rebel spy here in the army, and this is Borgen. This is the guy who betrayed the rebellion. I wish I could slap him, but I can't. Go on over here and talk to this guy, and he seems a bit more chatty than most of the other knights, actually. And he's even calling the General Borgen a moron. But if we say Wild Rose to him, this is the rebel spy. So he couldn't act when the Dark Knight was around, otherwise he would have spotted him because the Dark Knight's apparently Batman. And if we say worship to him, we can get through him and head into the next dungeon, the sewers. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, we'll be checking out the Bofsk sewers and seeing what else we can do beyond that. See you guys then, and sorry Kenny, I was talking a lot there at the end.
Yeah, that's no problem. Goodbye, guys.